The following is live footage from the official release of the Meet Your Match update. We warn you that some viewers may find this video disturbing.
I hate it.
After so many people going into maximum overhype about this update, its launch has been a little bit less than optimal. Along with pastime and matchmaking finally breaking out of beta purgatory, Valve added the new casual game setting, which has effectively murdered quick play as we know it. As is tradition, this has caused quite an uproar in the Fortress sphere, and so much so that people are even quitting the game because of it. This is the cause of the casual tragedy. Let me explain this update a little bit. Let's say there's a park in your neighborhood, right? Nothing fancy, just a huge grassy field. Now, you and your buddies love playing sports in that field, and summer after summer you have games, laughs, loves, crippling gambling addictions, the typical experiences of any 13 to 25-year-old. After increased use, some soccer and field goals are added to the park, then a baseball diamond, then a tennis court, and so on to offer more for people to do. Then one day the park gets outfitted with bleachers, astroturf, restrooms, field markings, and everything to make it a proper place to play your games in. You can still play all the other games you could before the upgrade, but the handful of playing fields you usually jumped into are now pitting team against team in actual competition. It's a change and an inconvenience, so naturally the whole park is ruined. God is dead, the government's a lie, and gravity's a conspiracy. This is exactly what's happened to TF2, and people just hate it. I mean, really hate it. From what I've seen though, it's for two major reasons. The first is the fact that it's not working well enough, which is by no means at all fair to be upset about, especially when you're expecting Valve to have all the kinks ironed out of casual and there's been no beta for it whatso freaking ever. I'm sure it's been tested plenty of times offline, but even so, there's no way they could accurately bug test thousands of people queuing up at the same time. Shutting the update just because something doesn't work perfectly on day one is pretty childish. Now, I could understand being frustrated with things not working properly, but there's no doubt that the new field they're going to put into that park is going to have some things wrong with it, and it's going to take a little bit of time before it's at its peak. To take the word from the TF2 team themselves, they are working on it. A lot of these things are bugs, not features. All it takes is giving them time to fix it, and when the whole community is getting real bitchy about this, it makes it really difficult for the development team to get proper feedback. Of course, not being able to play the new content well doesn't help, but nothing's stopping you from joining a community server. Just because quick play is gone and your lazy ass has to actually open the server browser does not mean anything's ruined. Don't forget, once upon a time that was the only way to join a game. Back in ArraySeven's day, you had find a server button, and that was it. So, speaking of community servers, this leads me to the second reason people get so angry about casual: the death of the pub. For those of you who somehow don't know, the Valve public servers have supposedly turned to the dark side and are only accessible through casual. This has been the major driving force behind the anti-Meet Your Match update, as it turns out a lot of people really like pubs. And this is what really mystifies me, because apparently you all have forgotten how terrible pubs really were. I mean, don't get me wrong, pubs have had their moments. Some of my most cherished TF2 memories come from them, and it's not like they can't be serious competitions either. I'm sure many of us have had those games where it's a legitimate game and everyone's working together, but those were way too few and far between. This is why casual is in reality probably one of the greatest things to happen to TF2 in a long time. And the fact that so many people look down on it is just tragic. With the new ranking system and experience, Valve has now given us a prize for winning, where people actually have a goal to play towards and even a reason to try. Because of this new game setting, there's at least a delineation between people who are there to actually play the objective and the people who just want a Magikarp on the floor. With the prize of leveling up on the horizon, it's much easier to have those genuinely good games. And believe it or not, casual actually makes us better as players. Not for nothing, having a slightly more punishing environment ups the skill ceiling, and being in a setting where there is actual pressure to win, albeit a mild poke in the chops, encourages much better performance. Plus, within casual play, people have slowly been easing their way into actual communication and coordination, so instead of just throwing themselves at the objective, people actually wait on cues to push and move with their team. This also helps players be able to recognize critical moments within a game and, more importantly, act on them. Whether it's between 2-on-1 and you're looking for an advantage, or an entire team whose medics are down, identifying things to exploit is a skill worth learning.
Plus, it gives people like me actual game sense in a low-pressure environment. Instead of learning how to kill, it gives me an opportunity to learn how to function as a team. Can you unlock the door now? Please, I want to go home.
Which, I may interject with, is key for newer players. You'll find that having the support of everyone else helps the free-to-plays along, and instead of getting their lights stomped out, they might just end up having some fun. Now, from a medic's perspective, casual is literally a lifesaver. Now you have a team who actually gives a shit about their medics. Anyone ever mainline medic in a pub before? It's the 10th circle of hell, let me tell you. I've had kidney stones less painful. In casual, however, I get extinguished, I get sandwiches, I get people waiting for me at spawn when I die so I won't be left alone. Casual is a saving grace for medics, and weirdly enough, the hatred of casual I've noticed seems to kind of be spearheaded by the people who like to play the classes who mostly benefit from the disorganization, namely soldiers and spies. However, I will admit that removing quick play altogether was a little unnecessary. I can understand Valve using their own servers for casual, but there's no reason you can't have quick play for community servers. I mean, there's plenty of non-bullshit servers out there, and I'm sure quick play for them would do wonders to revitalize those hidden gems. But fret not, those of you who are so upset by the removal of pubs, you have nothing to worry about. Why, you may ask? Because at the end of the day, you're still playing with the same jellies you would in a regular pub. Sandwich Hoovy still turtle about, market gardening is somehow still a thing, and hell, I've even seen 1 or 2 Uber chains in the mix. It's just a bit more discouraged now than it has been, but the things that happened in pubs are always going to happen no matter what. That's just how people are and how TF2 is played, so no matter what sort of update Valve could do to the matchmaking or pub system, it can't change the way we play the game too much. Casual is such a great thing for Team Fortress 2 though, and it's a shame that it gets looked down on so much. This new system has been dumped on either by the knee-jerk reactions of people hating change and don't even want to give it a chance, or the pub stompers who are frustrated with their jobs suddenly getting a bit more difficult. So here's my parting advice for you. Give it a shot. Lobby up with some friends, team up and go for gold, legitimately try to enjoy it. Going in without the confirmation bias of wanting to hate it would do a lot of good, and trust me, I know a thing or two about that. Give it a shot, you never know, it might just grow on you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name smells a lot like ArraySeven, and this has been my opinion on the newest Team Fortress 2 update. I hope you all have a wonderfully handsome rest of your day.
I'm the invincible, undefeated champion. Mount Zion's my ancestors can't rely on. Star of David, nah, the thought of stardom. Martyrdom and done crumbs left to the dumb thumb. To this play button, glutton of words. Mutton, birds of fly to fly to you, dropping turds. Hopping up on ignorance to feel how your body pop up the real. Dance the visual cry to deity. Pious piety might it be, to see is truly to be me. I see everything there is, so I'm